Do you get more dirty looks at the campground than a Republican at Starbucks? Or maybe your neighbors witness more drama on your site than a Jerry Springer rerun? Well, I hate to break it to you, but you may be the campground asshole. Stay tuned, we'll show you a little camping etiquette and 7 things you should never ever do while enjoying the great outdoors. Welcome back to the channel. Listen, I said it. I know that this list is long overdue, and I know that it's not limited to 7 things, so comment down below if you know anything else that we forgot. I also know that only about half of you right now that are watching are subscribed to the channel. Listen, it's free. Well, all you got to do, it's easy. Push the button down below. Really helps a small channel like ours out, and we know you guys are going to love the content. That's enough chit-chat and rambling. Let's just jump right into number 1, which is driving through the campground like you're in the Daytona 500. Are you really in that big a hurry to burn your marshmallows? I get it. The open road calls to us all, but unless you're being chased by a bear with a vendetta, slow down, Jeff Gordon. We need to remember that speed limits exist for a reason, and they're not just a suggestion for the overly cautious. It could be the difference of little Timmy making it to the playground or having to explain why he's covered in tire tracks. Number 2, pick up after your dog. Yep, it's a battle as old as time itself. The battle between due diligence and the poop procrastinators. Now, I love dogs as much as the next person, but let's be real here. Nobody wants to camp on a site full of landmines left by your furry friend. Nothing's going to ruin my camping vibe quicker than stepping into a surprise package left by your dog. Speaking of doo-doo, number 3, don't take 45 minutes at the dump station while people are waiting in line behind you. Now, if you've ever had the pleasure of using one of these beautiful pump stations, you know what I'm talking about. Waiting in line for what seems like an eternity for the person in front of you. There they are with 5 or 6 totes on the ground, digging through their compartments, trying to find everything they need. I mean, seriously, get in, get the job done, and get out. Now is not the time for spring cleaning or reorganizing your trailer. Also, make sure you know how your RV plumbing system works. I can assure you not one person waiting in this line wants to wait for you to watch a tutorial on how to pump out your camper. Now keep in mind, practice makes perfect, and if you guys are looking for some tips to get in and out in under 5 minutes, check out the video down below in the description. Number 4, don't be the guy or the gal who cuts through other people's sites. Seriously, people, we see this every single weekend we go camping. RV parks and campsites are people's home away from home that they paid for. Just like you wouldn't barge into your neighbor's backyard unannounced, the same rules apply here. Now, I know I can't stand when we're enjoying our morning coffee and Uncle Bob from the campsite across the way decides he's going to make a beeline through your site to use the bathroom. Like, seriously, Uncle Bob, there's a perfectly good path right over there. Really, the only time this is acceptable is if the site's unoccupied or there's some sort of emergency and you need to get to where you're going right away. Speaking of emergencies, number 5, don't park your truck or trailer blocking the road for exactly that reason. What if an ambulance needs to get through or a park ranger or something like that? They don't need to be waiting for you to fumble around to find your keys in order to move your truck. Also, nothing's really worse than trying to navigate these narrow, tight roads through the campground, most of the time one way, and coming up and finding your neighbor that's decided to make it his own personal parking lot. Remember, you paid to rent your campsite, not the road. Now, obviously, hooking and unhooking is a different story, but try to keep it to a minimum. And also, double check that you booked your site large enough to fit your truck and trailer. Most, if not all, campgrounds offer a overflow parking site, and let's face the facts, you may have to walk it. Number 6, obey the quiet hours. Now, after you guys check in, most likely they're going to give you a list of rules. And usually up at the top, they're going to have those hours in big, bold letters. Don't be the guy who pulls in at 1 a.m. and blasts his high beams in order to set up his site, or the guy who's got his music cranking at midnight and you can hear it from 6 loops over. And listen, I understand that the early bird catches the worm, but it doesn't mean that your neighbor wants to go fishing. Now, I got it. Maybe you got people over, maybe one too many around the campfire, or their game of cornhole that doesn't seem to end. But I can assure you, nobody wants to hear your rendition of Purple Rain at 2 a.m. A little bit of respect goes a long way in an RV park, so let's all do our part and be able to keep the peace and harmony while we enjoy our campsites. Number 7, and I bet most of us are guilty of this one, stop pissing all over your site. And I get it, sometimes nature calls and you gotta go, but if you can't be inconvenienced with the luxury of a restroom, at least find a tree or something out in the woods. What if the next person that wants to rent the site decides to pitch their tent where you made it your porta potty all weekend? And what about some privacy? Trust me, the trees have seen it all and they're not impressed, and neither will your neighbor be. With these simple rules in mind, remember you're well on your way to not being the talk of the entire campground. We're all here for a good time. We appreciate you guys watching. Comment down below any rules we may have forgotten, and we will catch you next time.